10. Black celebrities who died in the freakiest and strangest accident. What if the most talented, beloved black stars met their end, not through illness or age, but in accidents, so bizarre they sound unreal? From sudden crashes to hauntingly mirrored deaths, these tragedies didn't just shock fans, they rewrote the meaning of heartbreak. In this video, we uncover 10 freakish and strange accidents that stole black icons far too soon. Some were on the rise, others were legends, but all were gone in the blink of an eye. Watch until the end, and let us know which story shook you the most. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's journey was nothing short of extraordinary, a career built on tenacity, precision, and an obsession with greatness. Born on August 23, 1978 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Bryant was raised in a basketball-centered household. His father, Joe "Jelly Bean" Bryant, had played in the NBA and overseas, setting the stage for Kobe's early introduction to the sport. By age 17, he declared for the 1996 NBA draft straight out of high school, joining the Los Angeles Lakers, where he would remain for 2 decades. With a staggering 33, 643 career points and 5 NBA championship rings, Kobe's resume spoke volumes. He was selected to 18 All-Star games and earned 2 Olympic gold medals. But beyond the statistics, he was known for the Mamba mentality, a personal mantra rooted in relentless discipline and self-belief. His work ethic bordered on obsession. He would arrive at training facilities before dawn and outlast teammates by hours. On and off the court, he demanded excellence not only from himself, but from those around him. On January 26, 2020, the world stood still. Kobe, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others boarded a Sikorsky S-76B helicopter en route to a youth basketball tournament in Thousand Oaks, California. Fog blanketed the skies, limiting visibility. Despite these weather conditions, the aircraft pressed forward. Tragically, at approximately 9:45 a.m., it slammed into a hillside in Calabasas, traveling at over 180 miles per hour. There were no survivors. The accident stunned fans across continents. Not only had basketball lost one of its all-time greats, but a father and daughter had perished together in heartbreaking fashion. Investigations later revealed that pilot error coupled with poor visibility led to the crash. The tragedy prompted changes in aviation safety discussions, especially regarding visual flight rules under low visibility. In the wake of his passing, tributes poured in from athletes, celebrities, political figures, and ordinary people whose lives he had touched. Murals, vigils, and memorials spanned the globe from Manila to Milan. The Lakers retired both his jersey numbers 8 and 24, an unprecedented gesture that mirrored his unmatched influence. Though gone far too soon at age 41, Kobe Bryant's impact transcends basketball. He had begun shaping a post-NBA legacy as a storyteller filmmaker, winning an Oscar in 2018, and advocate for women's sports, especially through Gianna's development. His untimely demise in such a harrowing and surreal accident remains etched in modern memory, not only for the loss of a superstar, but the extinguishing of a father's dream for his daughter. Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith's name is forever intertwined with the foundations of American music. Born on April 15, 1894 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Smith emerged from poverty to become the highest-paid black entertainer of her time and a towering figure in blues history. Her commanding voice, emotional depth, and fearless stage presence earned her the enduring title Empress of the Blues. But while her talent shook the music world, the freak circumstances of her death remain a haunting part of her legend. By the 1920s, Bessie had become a household name. Her 1923 debut recording, Downhearted Blues, sold over 800,000 copies in its first year, a staggering feat during the era. Smith's raw, powerful interpretations of heartbreak, injustice, and love resonated deeply with audiences navigating the complexities of post-Reconstruction America. She toured relentlessly across the segregated South, defying racial barriers and commanding respect in an industry dominated by men. On September 26, 1937, her life was abruptly ended following a brutal car crash on U.S. Route 61 near Clarksdale, Mississippi. Bessie had been traveling with her companion Richard Morgan, driving through the night to reach a performance. At around 2:00 a.m., their old Packard sideswiped a slow-moving truck and overturned. Smith sustained catastrophic injuries. Her right arm was nearly severed, and internal bleeding left her unconscious. For decades, a widely circulated myth suggested that Bessie was denied treatment at a whites-only hospital, ultimately costing her life. While that version added an element of racial injustice to her death, subsequent investigations, most notably by author Chris Albertson, clarified that she was actually taken to a black hospital in Clarksdale, where she received care, but was too critically injured to survive. She died hours later at the age of 43. The strangeness of her demise lies not only in the gruesome nature of the accident, but in the persistent folklore surrounding it. Misreporting and rumors turned her final moments into a tragic symbol of Jim Crow America, blurring fact and fiction. Even today, the circumstances of her death provoke debate and reflection. Smith's funeral in Philadelphia drew more than 7,000 mourners, though she was buried in an unmarked grave until Janis Joplin funded a headstone decades later. Bessie Smith's voice continues to echo through generations of singers who followed from Billie Holiday to Aretha Franklin. Her music, immortalized in recordings that refuse to fade, stands in stark contrast to the shocking and senseless way she left this world. Otis Redding. Otis Redding's voice was a force of nature, gravelly yet tender, soulful yet raw. Born on September 9, 1941 in Dawson, Georgia, Redding grew up immersed in gospel music and the rhythms of the Deep South. By the mid-1960s, he had risen to the top ranks of soul singers known for timeless hits like Try a Little Tenderness, These Arms of Mine, and Respect. But at just 26 years old, in the prime of his career, Redding's life ended in one of the most chilling air disasters in music history. On December 10, 1967, Otis boarded a Beechcraft H-18 aircraft with his backing band, the Bar-Kays, en route to a concert in Madison, Wisconsin. That flight would never reach its destination. As the plane approached Truax Field under cold, rainy skies, it plunged into the icy waters of Lake Monona just 4 miles from the airport. Witnesses reported no distress signals, just a sudden descent and a violent crash. Out of the 8 people aboard, only one survived, trumpeter Ben Cawley, who had been asleep and was ejected from the wreckage upon impact. Redding's body, along with those of 4 Bar-Kays members, guitarist Jimmy King, bassist Phelan Jones, organist Ronnie Caldwell, and drummer Carl Cunningham, was recovered from the lake in the days following the accident. The investigation never pinpointed a definitive cause, though bad weather and possible mechanical failure were heavily suspected. What made Redding's death especially eerie was its timing. Just 3 days earlier, he had recorded what would become his most iconic song, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay. It was an artistic departure, more contemplative, less driven by traditional soul stylings. Tragically, Redding never lived to see its success. Released posthumously in January 1968, the song topped the Billboard Hot 100, making him the first artist in history to achieve a #1 hit after death. Fans around the globe were devastated. Otis Redding wasn't just a singer. He was a cultural bridge, breaking racial barriers and bringing Southern soul to mainstream America and Europe. His voice carried the pain and hope of a generation, and his absence created a void that could never truly be filled. The crash that claimed Otis Redding's life was as sudden as it was surreal, an artist on the cusp of even greater stardom, silenced by the sky. His legacy endures in every strained note of soul music that followed, reminding the world of what was lost far too soon. Aaliyah Dana Houghton. Aaliyah Dana Houghton wasn't just a singer, she was a movement. Born on January 16, 1979 in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Aaliyah rose to stardom before she was even old enough to vote. With her smooth vocals, effortless, cool, and futuristic production collaborations with Timbaland and Missy Elliott, she redefined contemporary R&B in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Dubbed the Princess of R&B, Aaliyah was poised to conquer music, film, and fashion all at once. But her life and limitless career were cut short in a horrific and preventable aviation tragedy that stunned the world. On August 25, 2001, at just 22 years old, Aaliyah and her entourage boarded a twin-engine Cessna 402B in the Bahamas after filming the music video for her single Rock the Boat. The plane was scheduled to return to Florida, but problems began before it even took off. Investigations revealed that the aircraft was significantly overloaded both in weight and passengers. Despite the pilot expressing concerns and lacking proper certification, the flight departed anyway. Moments after takeoff, the plane struggled to gain altitude and crashed just 200 feet from the runway. The impact killed all 9 people on board instantly. Aaliyah's body was found hours later, burned and severely injured. The autopsy revealed she had suffered a blow to the head so severe that even if the crash hadn't been fatal, her chances of survival were slim. The freakish nature of her death wasn't just in the crash itself, but in how many red flags were ignored. The pilot was found to have traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system. The aircraft was 700 pounds over its weight limit. It was a cascade of avoidable errors that culminated in the loss of one of music's most promising young talents. Aaliyah's funeral in New York City drew thousands of fans, peers, and public figures. In the years since, her style, sound, and image have remained influential across genres. Her posthumous album sales soared and unreleased projects gained cult status. Films like Romeo Must Die and Queen of the Damned demonstrated her crossover appeal, suggesting a Hollywood takeover that would never come to pass. Her final music video, hauntingly ethereal and set on the ocean's edge, now feels like a prelude to an untimely departure. Aaliyah's death wasn't just tragic, it was an unfathomable loss wrapped in a chain of strange and reckless decisions that forever altered the music world. Lisa Lopes. Lisa Left Eye Lopes was not only a creative force within TLC, but also a magnetic personality whose life off stage was as vibrant and unpredictable as her performances. Born on May 27, 1971 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, she was the youngest of 4 sisters and showed a talent for rhythm and expression early in life. By her teenage years, Lopes was writing poetry and music as an emotional outlet. That raw energy ultimately landed her in the R&B powerhouse TLC alongside Tion T-Boz Watkins and Rozonda Chili Thomas. With Left Eye's inventive rap verses and unfiltered commentary, TLC became one of the best-selling girl groups in history. Their albums Crazy Sexy Cool 1994 and Fan Mail 1999 shattered records, yielding hits like Waterfalls, No Scrubs, and Creep. They also captured hearts by blending harmonies with socially conscious themes and personal narratives. Lopes in particular developed a reputation as the group's fearless voice, outspoken, provocative, and unapologetically real. On April 25, 2002, while traveling in La Ceiba, Honduras, Lisa was making a personal pilgrimage visiting a church during a period of spiritual introspection. She was behind the wheel of an SUV, navigating narrow roads, seeking solitude and reflection. In a devastating turn, the vehicle careened off the path and began tumbling down a steep embankment. Witnesses later said the vehicle spun multiple times before coming to rest in dense foliage. Reporters described scenes of chaos as rescuers reached the wreck. Lopes had endured tremendous physical trauma. Initial reports alternated between hope for recovery and grim prognosis. Within hours, tragically, she was pronounced dead at just 30 years old. News of her passing shook fans worldwide. Not only had a premier musical voice been silenced, but a soul searching for deeper meaning was lost in the most tragic of ways. What makes her death truly startling weren't just the mechanical failures or poor road conditions, though factors like low visibility, possibly excessive speed, and unfamiliar terrain were cited, but the spiritual journey that framed it. She had been reportedly filming her own introspective process just before the crash, making the accident seem like a surreal collision of self-reflection and fate. Posthumously, her estate and fans preserved her legacy through initiatives such as music scholarships and philanthropy in her name. In 2009, the tribute album I Legacy was released, featuring unreleased tracks and charitable donations to causes she cared about. Artists like Missy Elliott and Queen Latifah have since honored her influence, crediting Lopes for inspiring a generation of female rappers and artists who escaped conventional molds. TLC's collective presence still resonates more than 2 decades later. Songs like Waterfalls remain cultural benchmarks, their music continuing to inspire new audiences. Yet behind every beat and catchy hook, Lisa Left Eye Lopes' story reminds us of her brilliance, and that her life, guided by spiritual exploration, met an eerie and tragic end on a winding road in Honduras. Natina Reed. Natina Alonzo Reed emerged on the music scene in the late 1990s as one-third of the dynamic R&B trio Block. Born on October 28, 1979 in New York City, Natina's vocal range and lyrical authenticity quickly set her apart. She lent her talents to hits like 808 and Bring It All to Me, the latter being part of the Bring It On soundtrack, which secured Block's presence among fans of both music and teens at the start of the new millennium. Reed's stage charisma and songwriting capabilities made her a rising star in fashion shoots, television guest spots, and tours supporting bigger acts. She co-wrote some of Block's 2002 album Black Out, showcasing her passion for crafting melodies as much as delivering them. Though Block disbanded in the early 2000s, Natina continued to pursue solo projects, working with Rodney Darkchild Jerkins and making appearances in film under her married name, Natina Reed Takahara. On October 26, 2012, tragedy struck in Atlanta. At about 3:15 a.m., Natina was ascending the median to cross the Interstate 285 westbound when a vehicle traveling at approximately 75 mph veered onto the median and slammed into her. The high-speed impact threw her body onto the road, her lower extremities caught underneath the car. Paramedics arrived promptly, but she succumbed to her injuries hours later. She was just 2 days shy of turning 33. The collision raised numerous questions. The other motorist claimed sudden lane drifting, but no sobriety-related convictions were reported. The abruptness of the accident and Natina's unexpected presence on an interstate median intensified public curiosity and speculation. Her loved ones described her as vibrant, driven, and endlessly generous, an artist whose life seemed on the cusp of a comeback. Following her passing, Block's surviving members, Shamari DeVoe and Brandy Williams, expressed profound sorrow, organizing tribute concerts and social media campaigns in her honor. Supporters also kick-started scholarships and creative mentorship programs directed at aspiring female vocalists and lyricists, continuing Natina's mission of inspiration and empowerment. Contrary to narratives suggesting her career had stalled, Natina had been quietly shaping new musical directions and preparing for entrepreneurial ventures. Her death not only robbed the industry of a distinguished performer, but also cut short her broader vision for community uplift and artistic leadership. Natina Reed's fate underscores how immensely fragile life can be, especially when fate strikes without warning along a dark freeway. Yet her voice lingers in playlists, mixtapes, and the hearts of those moved by Block's soulful blend of harmony and edge. Though her promising route was stopped far before its intended destination, her spirit remains a powerful note in the saga of young Black women asserting their creativity in pop culture. Shazam Connor. Shazam Connor is best known as one of the founding members of the 1990s R&B group H-Town, a trio that carved its name into music history with slow jams and sensual ballads like Knockin' de Boots. Alongside his twin brother, Kevin Dino Connor, and friend Solomon G.I. Connor, no relation, Shazam helped build a legacy defined by soulful vocals and emotional intensity. However, in the shadow of the group's fame lies a cloud of confusion and sorrow, often wrongly attributed to Shazam himself. Contrary to some public misunderstanding, Shazam did not die in a car accident. It was his twin brother, Dean O'Connor, the lead vocalist and heart of H-Town, who tragically passed away on January 28, 2003. The accident occurred in Houston, Texas, when a vehicle ran a red light at high speed and struck Dino's car on the driver's side. Dino was killed instantly along with his fiancée who was riding with him. The crash left the music community stunned and devastated, especially those closest to him. For Shazam, the tragedy marked a profound personal and professional turning point. Losing a twin, someone who not only shared his DNA but also his musical dreams, was an emotional blow few could comprehend. Overnight, the core of H-Town's identity was torn apart. Shazam and G.I. would continue to carry the group's name, but the absence of Dino's voice and presence left an irreplaceable void. In the years that followed, Shazam faced the dual responsibility of preserving H-Town's legacy while navigating grief in the public eye. He chose to honor Dino's memory, not just by continuing to perform, but by dedicating songs, interviews, and appearances to his late brother. His strength became a symbol of resilience, especially among fans who had grown up with the group's music and were reeling from the loss. While rumors occasionally cloud the facts, mistakenly attributing Dino's death to Shazam, the reality remains that Shazam is still alive and has remained active in keeping their story alive. He transformed pain into purpose, helping maintain H-Town's cultural imprint long after the spotlight faded. Shazam Connor's journey is one not of death, but of survival through heartbreak. It's about the weight of carrying on when half of your soul has been taken. Though he did not perish in that freak accident, he lives with its scars every single day. And in that sense, part of him was lost on that devastating night. Lamont Bentley. Lamont Bentley wasn't just a familiar face. He was a dynamic presence on screen whose charm and talent carried him into households nationwide. Born on October 25, 1973 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Bentley began his career in entertainment as a child, appearing in commercials before transitioning to television. By the 1990s, he gained widespread recognition portraying Hakeem Campbell, the mischievous and lovable cousin on the hit sitcom Moesha, alongside Brandy Norwood. His performances exuded warmth, humor, and depth, making him a fan favorite and hinting at a promising future in Hollywood. Beyond acting, Bentley was musically inclined and passionate about mentoring urban youth. He balanced his network role with entrepreneurial ambitions, producing projects and supporting upcoming artists. Friends described him as approachable, dedicated, and quietly driven, invested in nurturing talent behind the scenes, even as he graced primetime screens. In the early morning hours of January 19, 2005, tragedy struck. Bentley was driving southbound on the Pacific Coast Highway in Ventura County, California. Reports indicated he lost control of his vehicle, which veered off the pavement and crashed. Emergency services arrived swiftly, finding him suffering severe trauma. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but tragically succumbed to his injuries later that day. He was only 31 years old. What made his passing particularly jarring was its seeming randomness. The stretch of highway where his car left the road had no indication of mechanical failure or weather hazards. No other vehicles were involved, and there was no suggestion of foul play. The cause remained officially listed as a single-car accident, an abrupt, solitary event that ended a life brimming with potential opportunities. The entertainment community responded with a wave of sorrow. Co-stars from Moesha and colleagues in both film and music gathered to celebrate his life in impromptu vigils and tribute episodes. Brandy Norwood, who shared many heartfelt on-screen moments with him, expressed shock and grief, describing his death as unexpected, heartbreaking, and unfair. His passing also sparked renewed conversations about mental health and safety among actors traveling off-set, though no evidence has linked Bentley's death to any external factors beyond the crash itself. Posthumously, his family honored his intentions by establishing a foundation bearing his name to support young creatives. Several schools and community programs received grants aimed at fostering artistic expression and providing mentorship extensions of his vision for giving back. In interviews years later, friends remembered him as an exceptional father figure to many emerging performers, someone who offered counsel as readily as he shared a laugh. Lamont Bentley's final moments on that California highway remain shrouded in question, not because of controversy, but for their sheer poignancy. A solitary car, a quiet road, and a young artist ready to expand his influence gone. In remembering him, we recall not only his memorable performances, but also a man whose ambitions stretched far beyond the screen. His story reminds us that life can pivot in an instant and that the loss of potential can be its strangest sorrow. LaShawn Daniels. LaShawn Amin Daniels, affectionately known in the music world as Big Shiz, carved a monumental legacy behind the scenes. Born on December 28, 1977 in Newark, New Jersey, Daniels emerged as a songwriting powerhouse whose pen shaped some of the 1990s and 2000s most unforgettable R&B and pop hits. He collaborated with icons like Whitney Houston, Beyoncé, Brandy, and Michael Jackson, co-writing classics such as Say My Name by Destiny's Child and Emotion by Samantha Sang. His talent earned him multiple Grammy Awards, underscoring his role as a silent but critical force in shaping modern black music. Despite his influential career, Daniels seldom sought the spotlight. He was known for his creative humility, often lingering in the background as artists performed center stage. Industry insiders praised his uncanny ability to transform personal experiences into universal narratives, producing lyrics that ranged from heartbreak to empowerment. His versatility allowed him to adapt fluidly across genres, contributing to pop anthems, gospel affirmations, and soulful ballads with equal ease. On September 3, 2019, while returning home to his wife and 3 children in Columbia, South Carolina, Daniels' life was tragically cut short. Late at night on Interstate 77, his vehicle was involved in a high-speed collision with another car. The impact was so violent that emergency medical teams who arrived on scene described the wreckage as gruesome. Daniels was transported to a hospital, but his injuries were fatal. He passed away at just 41 years old. The abruptness of the crash stunned fans and colleagues alike. Unlike many celebrity deaths shrouded in speculation, this one was straightforward, a sudden car crash on a familiar interstate road under dark and apparently clear conditions. Investigators reported no evidence of uneven pavement or inclement weather. The exact cause remained unspecified publicly, underscoring the randomness of the incident. In the aftermath, the music community united in mourning. Artists like Brandy Destiny's Child and Celine Dion paid tribute on social media, highlighting Daniels' generosity and unmatched creative vision. Tributes poured in, describing him as a mentor and a friend, someone who tirelessly encouraged both established stars and emerging songwriters. His family later confirmed that he had been mapping out new projects and collaborations, contradicting any assumptions that his career had slowed. To honor his memory, the LaShawn Daniels Foundation was established, promoting songwriting education and offering scholarships to young black creatives. Songwriting workshops, annual mentorship sessions, and memorial gala events now carry his name, channeling his legacy into opportunities for future generations. LaShawn Daniels' death, though devoid of sensational conspiracy, resonates as deeply surreal. A quiet routine journey turned catastrophic in seconds, ending a life defined by melody partnership and lyrical brilliance. But amidst the collective grief lies celebration. His words continue to echo through Grammy-winning records, chart-topping singles, and the hearts of artists who consider him an essential collaborator. In Daniels' own understated voice, his story teaches us that even the most private creators can leave indelible marks on culture, and that such legacies deserve to be honored long after their final verse. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Bobbi Kristina Brown entered the world under an immense spotlight on March 4, 1993 in Livingston, New Jersey. As the beloved daughter of 2 music legends, Whitney Houston and R&B star Bobby Brown, she lived her entire life in the glare of public attention. Yet beyond the gossip column stood a young woman who sought her own identity, a budding singer-actress and humanitarian with ambitions and talents all her own. Her story, however, would take a hauntingly eerie turn, mirroring her mother's fate in a heartbreaking echo of history. From an early age, Bobbi Kristina showed exceptional promise. She released a single, Everything to Me, and appeared in a few acting projects, proving that she possessed both drive and creativity. She also co-founded Girlfriends in God, a lifestyle brand designed to uplift young women, a testament to her desire to empower others. Friends described her as humble, compassionate, and deeply committed to charitable causes. But on January 31st, 2015, tragedy struck in the worst possible way. Bobbi Kristina was found unresponsive in a bathtub in her Roswell, Georgia home following a distressing incident involving water and a power source. She was rushed to the hospital and placed in a medically induced coma. Doctors determined she had suffered severe brain damage and a host of other injuries. The circumstances bore an uncanny resemblance to her mother's own death in a Beverly Hilton tub nearly 3 years earlier, sparking widespread speculation, concern, and sorrow. Despite aggressive medical intervention, Bobbi Kristina never regained consciousness. On July 26, 2015, just shy of her 23rd birthday, her family announced she had been removed from life support. Her cause of death was ruled as immersion associated with drug intoxication, representing a tragic confluence of elements eerily similar to Whitney Houston's 2012 death, yet entirely unique and deeply personal to Bobbi Kristina's own struggles. The public reaction was immediate and emotional. Social media amplified collective grief. Candles, flowers, and portraits appeared worldwide. Her memorial service blended gospel and pop tributes, featuring performances by friends, family, and band members. Bobby Brown tearfully described his daughter as God's greatest gift to me, underscoring a paternal heart ripped open by loss. Whitney Houston's legacy, too, became inseparable from Bobbi Kristina's, forcing fans and media to reflect on issues of celebrity family trauma and the complexities of mental health. Posthumously, the Bobbi Kristina Foundation was established in her memory, focusing on youth outreach, mentorship, and addiction prevention. Supporters hope it will turn her tragic end into a force for positive change, one more aligned with her hopeful intentions. Bobbi Kristina's life was brief and marked by public curiosity, but her impact was real. She strove to be more than her celebrity lineage, using her platform to advocate for young women and explore her own artistry. Her death, undeniably shocking in its similarities to her mother's, was not defined by scandal, but by the heartbreaking potential she embodied. In remembering her, we see a portrait of a young woman reaching toward light, whose final days illuminated the dangers of fame and the fragile intersection of personal pain and public perception. Their lives were brilliant, their deaths unbelievably strange. From skyfalls to silent bathtubs, each story leaves us questioning how fate could twist so cruelly. These weren't just celebrities, they were pioneers, icons, and dreamers who shaped Black excellence in every field they touched. But which of these freakish tragedies impacted you the most? Was it Aaliyah's doomed flight or Kobe's heartbreaking final journey? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe these stories deserve to be remembered, honored, and discussed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more powerful tributes.